call this meeting to order. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes. So the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of the meeting. Roll call.
Gunderson,
Here.
Brunner, here, and Appleby will not be here.
Need a motion to approve the minutes from the March 8th, 2016 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Citizens' appearances? There are none. Discussion on the 2016 events.
Just a couple notes. We were notified within the last week or two that the Community Summer Fest will not be held this year. In lieu of that, the Catholic Church is having a celebration at the end of June that they're considering opening to the public in the same manner that they had the Community Summer Fest. But it seems as though that event may be done. So it's not just they're doing one event this year. I guess we'll wait and see for a year. But I did pass a line to Nick because we put together the fireworks event and we've always kind of talked about what more can we do there. Potentially there's a volunteer base with the Summerfest event that maybe doesn't want to run it or coordinate it, but would still be, there's resources available, contacts in town that come and put some kind of an event on. Potentially we could look at that with the fireworks. Not this year, obviously, because we're about 3 months away.
Right.
Less than 3 months. But that's the note, is that's not going to occur this year. Now with that, we do have the fireworks set. I did just talk with the fireworks company. They're still lined up and ready to go for Sunday the 3rd. And you'll remember at this committee that we've talked for a number of months about bands. And I've talked to 9 bands. Third Wheel, who we've had in the past. Back and Kickin' was one that originally committed and then had somebody that couldn't make it. The Starfire Family Band, which is a band that Shaney had recommended or that knew had played these kinds of events. They're booked that night. But the one band that Back and Kickin', and then there was another one that had referred us to, is called the Paper City Trio. And they have a Facebook page, but essentially it's 3 guys who themselves were in their own bands. And then they would get together like on a Sunday night and play back in like 2012. And they'd pick up a night or 2 a week. And
it's all what? Okay.
It's a group that plays on their bio. They'll play anything from Florida Georgia Line to Young MC to Springsteen to Bryan Adams to Matchbox 20 and everything. Pop, rock, and country. The comment that I made to Nick was with these guys, because this is not their main band, they don't have all of their own equipment that they carry along. Usually what they'll do is they'll rent it for each venue. With this potential event, what they've quoted to me would be like a $600 band fee, which is in line with what we've paid in the past. And then what they mentioned was they would like to scope out the fairgrounds with the area that we use. And they had figured for a few $100s, they would probably get a rental of, maybe not lights, but like their amplifiers and everything you would need to put on a show that we put on. It's very basic. But what they would be asking is that if the city was going to go with them, that we would pay for the rental on the equipment. Now that is yet to be discussed, but right off the bat, what they mentioned was their band fee would be $600. Like I said, that's pretty close to where we've been. The account that we pay for this event out of is the celebrations account. It's usually where we've had the winter garland, which we saved quite a bit of money on this year by buying the banners. We've had $8,000 in that account. It's about $5,000 for the fireworks. This year we spent $600 on getting banners rather than the $1,500, so we saved about $1,000 there. And so we're sitting at probably about $2,000 in the celebration account. And what that means is that if we were going to look at $1,000 or $1,100 for a band in addition to the fireworks, we would have money available there. And I could tell you that, quite honestly, that's the only band we've been able to lock down
Okay.
for that night. So I would recommend that we do that with the dollar amount that's involved. If we need to have a action by the rec committee to get approved by council, we could do that. Or if you feel that because it's in that budgeted item for celebrations that we just book them, we could do that too.
I think we can just book them.
Okay.
What do you find these bands, even just go online and for local bands
Yeah,
or something?
yeah. One of the things, what we could have done is gone through like Bananas Entertainment as a booking agency, but then you're paying an inflated fee, $1,200, $1,500 just to get the bands
Yep.
for most bands. With these guys, literally it was a referral from another band, which had been a referral from another band. You know, there's a lot of people that'll say they're not available that night, but oh hey, here's this band, give them a call.
Yeah.
These guys actually had just played for New Dublin for that fest in New London, so
Oh, sure.
that group had been there.
So what'd you say the amplifier and all that would cost?
Well, they didn't give us a quote, but they had figured that a
He says-
decent system would be no more than $500. So that's where we'd be in the $1,000 to $1,100 range to have a band with their equipment there too. And we've probably gotten along pretty easy the last couple of years because the groups that we've gotten have had their own stuff. So what we do there is we basically bring over a couple risers, and last year we put up those tents.
Yep.
So are they willing then to go maybe even longer than what the other bands did, right?
They would
how long
they'd
were
be
the
open to
other-
that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, why not if you're gonna rent those and if we're renting them for them,
yeah.
you know, get them there for a good chunk of time.
They could. My personal observation is that we've tried to start it earlier and encourage people to bring their own
Yeah.
grills, and I think even last year's a hard year to gauge, I think, compared to others.
Right.
But it's not really a good crowd until like 8:30, maybe even 9 o'clock when everybody's rolling in. But because what we're doing is fairly new, I mean, that could be part of it too.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about maybe have them play after the fireworks for a half an hour or so. Now with that, you'd have to have some lighting. But the time, the most important thing is that they're available that night. No matter the time, they can be available. I think that's most important, and then we'll discuss it with them maybe over the next couple of weeks
Right.
on what times. Because they come too early, there'll be nobody there.
Right.
Or maybe it's a bigger group out of the valley. Maybe they've got a following that will get people out earlier too. Could be.
So let's talk to them, lock them in, and then we'll.
That sounds good. Can do that. On other events, we've talked a little bit at the council about the Vintage Pipes and Stripes event, which is June 10th and 11th at the fairgrounds. They're going to have bands. They've got quite the events. They've got their own website and a Facebook page too. They've got a whole bunch of things going for the couple of days they'll be out there. That'll be a big deal.
Maybe we can get some banners out for the 4th of July then.
Yeah, yeah. I think that'd be real good. And then the only other thing I have is not so much events, but it's related to the new building and events we could hold in it. Is probably in May we'll have to be talking about the use policies for that community room. We've talked about movies. We'll have to talk about rentals.
Yep.
We're looking at that room being available no sooner than June, because the parking lot's going to be torn up in June. So in May, that'll probably be a good discussion, I think.
Sounds good.
All right?
Yeah, so lock that group in.
That sounds good. Very good. We'll do that.
Not to exceed a certain amount on the rental or,
From what they mentioned was we're going to get the ability to pick and choose whatever they're renting, and what they had said was that it would be no more than $500.
oh, okay.
So if it goes more, well then we'll get
I hate
back
to
off
try
it
to lock
too,
it
but-
in because I have no clue what that stuff
Yeah.
costs. I'd be throwing just a number in the air,
Mhm.
you know, because.
I think what we'll do is maybe for like the May meeting, I'll try to get a breakdown on what it is, what the equipment is. We'll bring it back to you guys just so you got an idea on here's
Sounds good.
what we're getting, the cost. Okay.
Yep.
I did get a lot of bands though that said next year, because the 3rd is on a Monday, they'd be interested then, but it doesn't help us this year yet. So
One other event, since we're not doing the Community Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to have a free weekend at the pool?
Yeah, we could.
Early? I mean, because Community Fest is always fairly early in the summer.
Yeah.
Do we want to have one day to see if we can't
Sure.
generate more interest?
Mm-hmm. We do that like in June. Well, it opens in June,
It
so
opens in June, you know, that,
it'd really be June or July.
yeah, one of those first weekends.
Yeah. That'd be all right too. Okay. Maybe that's a good segue into then the next item is the discussion on the swim lake. I did talk to Tim Potratz, and April 25th will be, him and I will be meeting with each other to talk about the upcoming summer. It sounds like we don't have the problem we had last year where we had a mass exodus of kids that grew up and moved away or got better jobs. And we did have that expense where we had to train quite a few of them last year. Now they're all trained, so we're good to go
Good.
on that end. That's what all I've got for now. We ran through all the financials with the season passes and those
Yep.
things. I'll have some recommendations next month on potential fees, modifying some fees.
Okay.
I think the message I got though from the last committee meeting was that on the concession prices, that's pretty well good to keep those
Right.
stable for cost, but look at some healthier alternatives, granola
Yep.
bars and those types of things.
Right.
So we'll be looking into that too. That's all I really have. The only thing under the administrator's report would be, we do have Fox Brothers lined up within the next, I think, 2 weeks to go up and do that grading on Emerald Street to
Okay.
lay the gravel down so we can get that decent parking area set up.
Good.
So we should be good there. I think the county's dropping the seasonal weight limits next Monday. So then,
Yeah, I was wondering if they were off yet.
yep, next Monday they're gonna open that back up. So
Maybe,
that's right. They said most likely,
most likely, but
yeah, which is better than
we're
yesterday
gonna
was
do-
maybe.
they were gonna do it Monday,
Right.
and then because it got cold again.
Yep. Yep.
Still could.
I just
Yeah.
saw it.
I think it was too late.
Yeah. Could be too. And that's all I've got for
That's all you got?
the administrator's report done too.
I don't have any other such matters, so I guess look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
6 o'clock.